I know a lot of tight asses, and the thing that they all have in common is that they are all very wealthy. I've watched these people over the years, over the decades, continue to handle their money in the same fashion, even as they continue to build their wealth further. So today, I thought it would be a pretty good opportunity to dive into why I think this occurs. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Reece, and in today's video, I'm going to talk about how wealthy people, once they build that wealth, continue to retain that wealth for long periods of time. To kick off this video in particular, I want to quickly touch on and break down why people's attitudes towards money is the way that it is. Generally, a person's attitude towards money is influenced by how they earned it. The easier it was for them to earn it or come into this money, the more at ease they are with how they choose to spend it. Compared to the type of people who spend years, if not decades, scraping together every single dollar that they can to build wealth over that period of time. The thing that I've noticed with these types of people is that they kind of latch onto those habits, and once they no longer need to be cheap or be a tight ass or be very careful with their money, they will still continue to do that because it's just ingrained in their ways. Where once it becomes a way of life for them and they don't really know any different, it can make them feel uneasy or maybe anxious if they were to go against the behaviors that they've known for so long. And this is where we dive a little bit deeper into these behaviors, where the people who generally have the healthiest mindset towards money are the ones who started with basically nothing and build themselves from the ground up. They might apply a skill that they've learned somewhere. They might have started a business and then actually turned it into something of value over many years, decades, however long the time period was. These are the types of people who have put the work in. They know the struggles that are required. They know the amount of effort that is required to achieve these types of goals or to build this kind of wealth. And therefore, they generally have the fundamentals and the mechanics to create new wealth, which sees them being a little less uneasy when it comes to spending money. Their relationship with money is very healthy because even if they lost everything tomorrow, they have the skills, the fundamentals, or the mechanics to rebuild that wealth from scratch. And these types of people are the ones to get really wealthy as well, because they generally will take calculated risks and they're not so risk adverse, meaning they will look at an opportunity and probably take that opportunity if it's a good one, because even if they were to lose whatever they're putting into it, they're either in a position to be able to do that because of the wealth they've built, or they know how to recover if they were to suffer significant losses. Now let's move on to the next category. So we're going to talk about those who have either inherited or won money through, we'll say, gambling, just to keep it simple. They've won the lottery. These people will end up back where they started originally, or will end up in a far worse position based on the fact that they've gone from this massive high of having all of this money to do whatever they want and live however they want, and they generally fall into the pitfalls of people who don't understand the fundamentals of how to manage money. They lose it all, and then they are at rock bottom or below rock bottom because they want that lifestyle still but can no longer fund it. This, in my opinion, is the saddest scenario, as the opportunity for someone to set themselves up for life and not have to worry about how to earn money and how to live a life where they need to put food on the table is, you know, it's so close, it's within their reach. And generally the statistics to show that this often doesn't happen with people who inherit lots of money or win the lottery. Okay, so now that I've characterized just a few examples of different types of people and their attitudes towards money based on stereotypes, based on statistics, and I'm sure based on your own personal experiences, just like my own personal experiences, let's now focus in, hone in a bit more on the key aspects of today's topic and what I'm talking about in regard to the title of the video, which is linked down below this video. While you're down there, hit that like and subscribe button, please. I'm gonna put a cheeky plug in there. Let's focus a little bit more on that. As an individual builds their wealth, one of the common tropes that is learned is that even small percentages can make big differences. Let's think about it like this. Let's say you have $1 million in the bank, which is returning 5% every single year. That is $50,000 in that first year, which to some people is their annual salaries. Now, personally, when I go to purchase something at the shops or maybe online, I use the same principle in reverse, where I use the percentage system to calculate the returns on what I'm going to be purchasing, or the savings on what I'm going to be purchasing, very similar to how I look at the returns of investing in the share market. If I can get a discount of, let's say, 5% on a purchase that I'm going to make, I have now just saved money at the same rate of me returning 5% on the share market. And this logic and mentality becomes addictive. And just to clear this up, I will pay for a quality item even if it is expensive because the investment into it is well worth it. It's not like I will avoid the purchase altogether because it's expensive. That is not the point of being tight. The point is to put in the work to get it at the best possible price within reason. Wealthy people / tight asses often look for any opportunity to save money at every single corner. I'm talking about things like tax breaks, rebates, coupons, discounts, and so on. These people understand the power of percentages and how every dollar does eventually add up. And I've actually made videos discussing how I myself incorporate these methods into my own life. I'm talking about things like getting cash back from apps that I use on purchases that I'm going to make no matter what, where I look for bargains and hunting for quality items at a discounted price. I've left links down in the description below. Generally, those videos are about where I live here in Australia. However, the principles in general are very much the same, and there will be similar products no matter where you are in the world. They exist everywhere. They are very popular products and people reap the benefits every day of them. So feel free to check them out. If you're interested, like I said, links are down in the description below. Anyway, moving on with today's video. I was recently on Reddit and I saw a post that caught my eye and I really wanted to incorporate it in this video. It goes like this. I don't have many rich friends, but the ones I do are all the same. Maybe I'm just unlucky. Basically, if you do anything with them, they will split everything down exactly halfway. So if you go to a buffet, as I recently did, and it's like $15, they'll make you pay $8. Yes, down to the ones. They always have ones too to give you, so I'm assuming this is in America, like they're prepared for this exchange. Whereas in the scenario for this person's more poor or middle class friends, they always end up paying for each other where whoever has money pays. No one takes it too seriously. We don't split the bill. Someone just pays for someone else. It feels good. It happens to me and I do it for other people and it's fun. Anyway, my best guess is that my rich friends learned their behavior from their parents or something where everything in life must be fair and split evenly. Now this one hits very close to home for me. If I had $1 for every single time during my teenage years where I went out with friends and I was the person to split the bill up and tell them this is what you either owe me or this is what I owe you, I would be a millionaire by now. Growing up, I had plenty of friends who had the exact same attitude as the person in this Reddit post here, whereas I always split the bill based on what I paid for. Whatever I paid for is what I was putting towards the bill, no more, no less. The way I was taught is to pay what you owe. Everyone is equal in this scenario because you go out and you have a nice dinner and you pay for what you had. Seems simple enough. It doesn't make sense to me that you would go out and pay for someone else's meal or drinks, especially when you're a teenager earning minimum wage. It's actually funny thinking back to those times when I was a teenager and in those situations where I had some friends who did just want to split the bill evenly. Because my friends who did not have the money to spend would use it as an opportunity to go all out. Simply put, they liked to drink and they liked to order a lot of different appetizers, and they always had the expectation that the bill would be split evenly at the end, making everyone pay the same amount of money. And I, fortunately enough, caught on pretty quickly to what they were doing because I realized that I wasn't a big drinker and I would generally only order what I was able to afford, whereas they were taking full advantage of this opportunity to basically spend money and increase the size of the bill so they could get away with more, essentially. I remember one very specific scenario where I went to dinner with a group of friends. I spent maybe $20 in total, and this friend spent over $200 on the meal and drinks. I'm talking they were ordering shots, they were ordering cocktails, alcohol generally being the most expensive part of the dinner, and then they had the expectation that I would cover their share of the bill as well. To summarize those scenarios, like I said, I caught on pretty quickly, and funnily enough, I'm not their friends anymore, and I wasn't their friends for much longer after I realized what was happening, because they were trying to fund their lifestyles through me. A lot of other people who were friends with them are no longer friends with them either because they found the same thing to happen to them. What a coincidence. The key takeaway from this is that I was living well within my means. I understood the value of my money when going out to these occasions, and I didn't overindulge by spending more than what I could essentially afford. I also didn't let these people bully me into paying their way. Once they realized that I wasn't going to pay for their share of the meal, they started getting confrontational because they realized what was about to happen. They were about to have to fork out cash that they probably didn't have in some circumstances circumstances they definitely didn't have. And I said to them, it's not my problem. You have done the irresponsible thing here. I'm not going to bail you out. You need to learn from your mistakes, and you need to not overindulge or spend money that you don't have. Now, some people learn from their mistakes and put processes in place to avoid this from happening in the future. They realize kind of where they were going wrong, and I'm friends with some of them still, and I've seen it with other friendships as well. The same scenarios play out. A lot of the people that were in these kinds of scenarios, and it's more common than you might think, kind of went down this trajectory further, and what the outcome is they have not been able to save money. They do not understand the value of money. They continue to overindulge and build their debt through credit card and personal loan debts, and it's simply put that lifestyle is going nowhere for those people. The goals that they set for themselves are definitely not going to be achievable, and unless they make a change in their mindset, their attitude towards money, they'll never build wealth efficiently. Tying it all the way back to that Reddit post now where the person said that these skills must have been learned, they were absolutely right. They absolutely are learned skills. It's something that takes practice, it takes time, it takes effort to get into the habit, and once you develop that habit, it just becomes a way of life. And the skills were learned from a lot of the influences in my life, where people like my parents, my aunties and uncles, and close friends who had similar lifestyles to me, where they understood, the people that I used to work with at the local supermarket all used to understand how hard it was to earn that money and how easy it was to spend. And from that, we built and developed good habits, which what's the outcome from that is that I am where I am today because of a very small portion of my lifestyle and the way I live it came from that set of skills, that understanding of money, and the ability to not have to overindulge every time I go out and spend money willy-nilly. That's something I just really wanted to hone in on, that those skills definitely were learned. I've incorporated them into my life and carried them through my life since I started earning money basically, and they've served me well. Now, there's a lot more content I can make on this topic, so I might actually break this video up and make another one to extend the discussion further. To wrap today's video up though, the message that I want to put forward and put out there is that upbringing definitely does play a part in a person's ability to get into this mindset. However, the key point, most important point, is that these skills are not something people are born with. They are learned. Using leverage to attain wealth can be risky because greed comes into the mix. However, people who generally build their wealth over a steady period, over a long period of time, are the ones who generally live good lives whilst also not having to worry too much about how much money they have, whilst also not overindulging and falling into the pitfalls that comes with the absolute mind-boggling amount of advertisement out there and enticement to spend your money on things that you might not necessarily need, or items and things that might be classified as wasteful. I kind of want to throw the question out to you, the viewer, right now. Can you relate to this? Are there people who fit into that original category that you've hung around with and seen the same traits happen, where they want to split the bill evenly and they seem to be taking advantage of that scenario? Or vice versa, have you seen people be tight, use a different attitude towards money, about understanding the value of money, understanding to not overindulge and being able to do that for long periods of time? Have they built wealth successfully, and have they retained it over the years? Depending on where you live in the world, depending on what your lifestyle's like, depending on the people you hang around with, I feel like answers will be different. So I'm very curious. Please drop me a comment down below. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I hope it was insightful, and I hope you learned something. That's pretty much it. I hope that you could do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button down below. It really helps the channel grow. Don't forget to turn bell notifications on so you don't miss any of the videos I release over the next couple of weeks and months and years and so on. And I will leave you there. Have a good day, have a good week, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.